It's the Bulls Podcast, episode 54.
Yo, what's up, everybody? This is DG from the Bulls, Daniel Gafford here, and this is the Bulls Podcast with Marcus Couch. Go Bulls.
Hey, Chicago Bulls fans. It's time for your Bulls Podcast.
Welcome to the Bulls Podcast, coming to you from bullspodcast.com. This is where we bring you the latest news, reviews, rants, rumors, and opinions on the players, coaches, and front office of the Chicago Bulls. My name is Marcus Couch, and this week I'm pleased to be with the Bulls Podfather, the originator, Mr. Doug Thonus.
I don't think I could possibly bring as much energy as you just brought there. There's more energy than the Bulls have brought in like months, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Well, let's see if we can maintain an entire 30 minutes of this.
Well, the Bulls can't. So.
Yeah. Well, we've got several topics for this episode, including a Bulls versus Wizards rundown, Bulls trade rumors that never happened, a brief state of the Bulls, and game predictions for the coming week. We'll be right back after this quick timeout.
Bulls fans, remember to follow the show on social media at Bulls Podcast and at bullspodcast.com.
All right, let's talk some Bulls versus Wizards post-game. The Bulls took on the Washington Wizards in a seemingly must-win scenario to get in the playoffs, at least a small foothold into the playoffs in the 8th seed. This was a really wide-open window where they could jump in and take over that Wizards slot and try and fight Orlando, but they got smoked, losing the game 126-114, and it was never that close. Zach LaVine led the way for the Bulls with 41 points on 15 of 21 shooting, but the Bulls were never in it at any point in this game. Sato continued to play well against his former team, leading the question, should we trick Sato into thinking he's always playing the Wizards? Because he doesn't play like this when he's got a different opponent. He's just showing off, I think, in front of his old teammates. Daniel Gafford did not play. That's crazy. And by the way, yeah, that was Daniel Gafford at the intro of the show that you heard here. So the All-Star break is upon the Bulls, who are 19-36, losers of 6 straight, and they sit at the 10th spot in the East. Doug, what's your take coming away in this game?
Well, I think the take is the same as it's been all of the recent games, which is they've got no defense at all since Chris Dunn went out. And they only really have Zach LaVine as an offensive threat that's consistent. And in this game, Sato had a nice game offensively as well, but they just don't have enough. I mean, you're missing your number 2, number 3, and number 4 best players. Any team in that situation is going to have a lot of problems, and the Bulls were probably a 41-win team in the best case scenario if everyone was healthy. And missing 3 of their top 4 guys is definitely not the best case scenario. I know that's old news. I know no one wants to hear excuses, but it is what it is at this point. Like any game you win is like a miracle. Like we had Cornette and Felicio combined for an amazing game and still lost, a game ago. And this game you got a great game out of Sato, but you just don't have enough pieces.
So why is Felicio playing 22 minutes and Gafford playing 0?
I have to think that Gafford just isn't really healthy.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like no other excuse, is there? Like that has to be it, even if they say he dressed.
Why are they saying he's available in the injury reports, though?
And we just heard from Casey Johnson, live reaction. Daniel Gafford isn't 100% healthy from his sprained ankle, and that's why he didn't play, quoted from Jim Boylan. So
okay.
There you go.
What about this Makoka kid? Why not throw him in?
I don't know. I mean,
he's healthy.
He's healthy, fine. I mean, you think Makoka is going to lead you anywhere? I mean, there's just no one. It's a series of G Leaguers. You can rearrange the deck chairs in the Titanic, but if you're just picking up guys off the street, they aren't going to win games, and that's effectively what Adam Makoka playing minutes is doing. Yeah, we could take a look. Why not?
Yeah. So this is one of the rare occasions. So since I live in California, and you may not have heard this, I like to pirate the NBA streams, and sometimes, and most often, I like to listen to the opposing team's announcers, just because I want to hear the reactions of what they're saying. Like the last game that we played, I forget what that game was, but they were saying that they couldn't believe Felicio was making $8 million a year and on the fringe of being a G League player. And then laughing about it. Like, oh my God, this is crazy. But today I happened to catch the Bulls Chicago feed. So now Stacey King says that Kobe White should be playing as the point. You agree with this?
In the sense that I think anything you do now is pretty much destined to fail.
Yeah.
Why not? You could throw him out there, but I don't think he'd be any good. He looks terrible as a point guard to me.
Now,
I think the only way this kid is going to be good in the NBA is if he just becomes an amazing shooter. Athletically, he does not seem to have the game speed. He doesn't have enough handles to play point guard, in my opinion, and his passing vision doesn't look anywhere remotely close enough. Now, maybe if you throw him out there and he just has to work on it, maybe it gets better. But there's not really a lot of reason to think that. It's not like he was a natural point guard at any other stage of his career, and then now we just said, oh, wait, we're going to try you a combo guard.
Okay, but he had tonight 14 points on 4 of 14 shooting. Oh, my God. What did he have? 5 rebounds and 7 assists and 4 steals. It's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad, except that do you think outside of the shooting that any of that is consistent? And
No.
You can answer that, right? You can look at the stats for the season, and you know the answer already is no.
Yeah.
You just know it's not. He's not. And look, it's early. A lot of guys can have a rough rookie year and come back and be solid players. And Kobe White might do that, but he has a really long way to go, and he has been given way more minutes than he deserves, just probably because of his draft selection and because there's really no other options anyway.
Yeah. For the Wizards, I'll say this. Bradley Beal looks pretty good. 30 points in 34 minutes, 12 of 23 shooting. Yeah. But he did do well. Ish Smith looks to be pretty comfortable there. Hachimura, 20 points in 31 minutes off 7 of 12 shooting.
Well, everyone is comfortable against the Bulls, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like I'm seeing people say, I think we could run the table the rest of February and go 6-0. Really? Really? Where do you see that coming in?
I think all you can do is hope that guys come back over the All-Star break.
Yeah.
And if you get like 2-3 guys, like I think like everyone was sort of due back around this time. And I don't know the exact current status of everyone. I know we'll probably get in that later. But that's really what you're hoping for. Like the current team with the players now are not going to run any table. You're lucky to win any game, no matter who you play. But if you get those guys back, a couple of them, all of a sudden it makes a huge difference. I mean, just imagine replacing Felicio with Carter or Markkanen, just getting him off the court, or Gafford. You're just getting Gafford back. Like, it's a huge, huge difference. It's like, you might as well put me out there.
That's what I'm saying. Felicio plays like I would in that game.
Yeah.
He's taller. That's it.
You'd almost think just play Adam Makoka at center.
Yeah.
Like, it can't be any worse. Play Cornette 48 minutes. Like, I don't know. Shaq Harrison could play for like 20 minutes at center. Like anything else other than Felicio. And like the whole game, they're like ripping on him for like stupid stuff he did.
I know.
It's just one of those things. Like he's not a player who should play minutes. He has to. I mean, even though I joke about those options, they really aren't realistic options. You could try doing small ball, but we don't even have like enough shooters to even get away with the small ball lineup. So you couldn't even really do that. So there's not really good options. And it just is where the Bulls are right now. They're missing too many guys. They need guys to get back. If they did get some of these guys back, then anything is possible. I mean, they were starting to play a little bit better up until they got hit with the injuries. They were starting to win about half their games, like somewhat consistently. Yeah. And everyone else we're competing with is also awful. So it's like you don't even need to make that big of a run to be competing for that 8th spot. Like the 8th spot might go to like a 34-win team this year.
Can you imagine? Oh God. And get crushed. They would absolutely get crushed.
Yeah, they get crushed. It would probably be the most lopsided playoff series ever.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know what Orlando is tracking it now at 23-31. I'm not going to whip out the calculator to figure how many wins, but my guess is they're probably aiming at like 35 wins at the moment.
Yeah. What is your take right now on? Let's just do State of the Bulls. We'll just merge right into that right now. Yeah. No, we'll get to the next one. But what do you think? Like, where's your head at? Do you want to tank, or do you want to go ahead and make a push for the playoffs? That maybe I don't know if that's a convincer to maybe get a good free agent here. I have no idea. But where's your head at right now with that?
So. Let's say you go to try to tank. Like if we examine this right now.
Yeah.
At 19 wins, the Bulls could they tank their way past the Pistons, Hornets, and Knicks, who have 19, 17, and 17? Like, could you get worse than those teams? Because I don't think you can get worse than any other team that's already
so you got like a tankathon tournament bracket rolling here.
I mean, that's really what you have to think about. And so the the Pistons just traded Andre Drummond.
Yeah.
So like their roster is like they aren't going to win any games. The Knicks just traded Morris, and there's thought that they might buy out Harkless. So I think it's like they're obviously going to try to tank. And, the Hornets just started, like, rumors that they're buying out everyone. So they're clearly trying to tank. So the teams we're going to try and tank against are all in on tanking, right? Like, they're clearly all in on tanking right now.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be hard to pass more than, like, one of those teams.
Did you hear? I thought it was hilarious. Bobby Portis is like, I'm not taking a buyout. It's like, wow, boy, did your fortunes change quick.
Well, I mean, I don't know why, if you're Bobby Portis, you wouldn't take a buyout depending on how much they want to get back. Like if they're just going to give you, like, say, $1 million back or something. But if most of these buyouts for a lot of these guys, they're like, look, we'll buy you out for whatever the vet minimum you'll get is, so you don't actually lose any money. And they still save like $800,000.
Yeah, you got to go to the D Wade. You got to go to the D Wade buyout school for that.
Yeah, but I think that's how most of them work. I mean, I don't think many of these guys are giving up a lot of money. And if I was Portis and someone said, "Hey, we'll buy you out," I mean, they're clearly not going to pick up his option.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I'd maybe see if I could latch on somewhere else. On the other hand, maybe he wants to stay at the Knicks because he'll probably get burned there. Like, I don't know how many other places are going to play Bobby Portis lots of minutes. So maybe
he is getting some endorsements in New York, believe it or not.
Yeah, that also I think anyone on the Knicks, whoever their best player is, has to get some endorsements. Yeah. I don't know that Portis is their best player, but he's in the running. I mean, that's how bad the Knicks are. Yeah. What's scary about the Bulls, all right, they're missing 3 of their 4 best players, right? And they are 10th in the East. And we talk about them like it's the worst train wreck imaginable.
Yeah. We thought Atlanta was going to be a problem this year.
Yeah, there are 5 teams even worse than us in the East, and another couple in the West.
How can that be?
So, I mean, however bad you think it is, it's like it's even worse in other areas. I mean, it's like scary, like how apocalyptic all Bulls fans are, and I'm right there with them. Like, I mean, this is really like the worst. It is. But it's like it's amazing how bipolar the league is now. There is like no middle class. It's like everyone realized we either need to compete or we need to lose as many games as possible. And so it's like there are basically no teams hovering around 500 outside of the Memphis Grizzlies. That's like the only team around 500. Everyone else is like, yep, we're just bad. And a couple teams like maybe the Trailblazers are trying to be, 500 but it's interesting. It's like really just very top heavy and bottom heavy now.
Why are fans still going to the games at the United Center?
Well, why not?
I guess
it's something to do. I mean, like,
lovables.
You got, I'm sure, a huge amount of the people who are there, they're season ticket holders, and so they're just going because they're used to going.
Or their season ticket holders give it to a friend.
Or they're giving
neighbors.
the tickets away.
Yeah.
Like, and clearly even that, they probably are having less people show up than they have season ticket holders. I mean, as a former season ticket holder, I can tell you, even like through lean years, people didn't move. And that may be changing now, but I mean, you want to move up, like, and you want to get into like the 100 level, like center section.
Mm-hmm.
I had a guy who had tickets for 19 years who was a friend of mine and was like never able to move even once, like closer. He was kind of like on the angle, was never able to move even one time, like one seat closer to the middle section over 19 years. So there's like a lot of tickets where people feel that there's value there if the team ever comes back, they're corporately owned or whatever else.
Yeah.
People don't want to give them up, and because they know they can't get them back. And so there's enough tickets in that way that, you know, people, then they just have to get rid of them, even if you get $20. I'm sure you can buy tickets last second on eBay for the Bulls for like $20.
Yeah, StubHub.
Yeah, I mean,
unless they're playing it in LA, in which case they're $600. Don't get me started on that.
If you're a visiting team's fan, you know, lives in Chicago, it's a big city.
Yeah,
might not be bad. Yeah, I mean, I remember I went and had season tickets in the post-Jordan era when Elton Brand was drafted, and like 20% of the people there at least would be fans of the other team. You know, it was like a huge draw.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we can just go really cheaply. Why not? You know. Yeah,
that's. I mean, come on, cheap date. That's the thing. So let's get into some of the things here. Like, I agree with you. Like, I think we need to get healthy, but I don't want to see Lowry back unless he's 100%, or at least 90%, because it seems like he's had this aggravated injury all season.
I don't know what different percentages mean. Like, to me, it's like you come back when you aren't at risk of getting hurt again.
Right, yeah.
And it's hard to sometimes tell where that is.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure
it's going to hurt no matter what, but can you work through the hurt, you know, without re-injuring yourself?
And yeah, I don't know, like what you do for exercise, if anything. Yeah, I'm like a lot of guys. I'm like, you know, my middle-aged guy, so I work out an hour a day just so I can stay a little bit fat.
Yeah, sure.
And you know, but I get hurt here and there. I play basketball. I'm like, you kind of learn after a while, like what is an injury and what is like just normal random pain you deal with.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's totally different in the NBA. But I think guys who are these professional athletes, I think they kind of get the feeling of when a pain is like, this is something I can work through, and this is something that is not a good idea to work through.
Yeah.
And Lowry's missed a lot of time. So, and I don't mean this in a negative way. Clearly, he doesn't seem like a guy who's just like, I'm just going to tough out anything. I mean, he definitely will take the days when he seems to need them, and I think that's appropriate. I don't, it could sound bad, but I think that's appropriate. So I think when he's ready, he'll come back, and, you know, we'll see what happens. But the injuries are just so hard. It's so hard to think of anything until these guys come back. And it's so hard even to watch the games now.
Yeah.
Like, you're just watching to see if Zach LaVine does something like tonight and just puts on a three-point show. Like that. It's like, oh, yeah, that was exciting. Had an amazing breakaway dunk. Had a great breakaway dunk by Kobe where he barely got to the rim. It was exciting.
You think Otto Porter is going to be back anytime soon?
I kind of feel like he just might retire.
I think so too.
Like, I just like don't, like, anytime you hear, how often do you hear about a guy who's like, yeah, I just missed like 6 months, but I didn't require surgery. Like, that's just a weird thing, right? Like, that's not normal. I'm not crazy to think, like, I just can't even come up with another example where that happened. And I read a little bit about his injury, and it makes sense, like, for what it is. Like, that is kind of what you do. But it just kind of feels like.
Yeah, but do you go out to the nightclub and party? I mean, does that speed this recovery process up at all? I don't know.
Maybe it can. You know, alcohol can fight off some viruses. So maybe it can help with foot bruises as well.
Yeah.
I don't know what to make of Porter. I thought it was weird, and I brought it up when the Bulls traded for him on, I think, my show with Fred. I think Fred and I had a great debate about it. And I basically said, I don't like this trade. And the reason I don't like it is I don't trust Otto Porter to stay healthy. And he said, well, he's never hurt really so far. And I said, but there's massive talk about him being injured in Washington. Like, if you talk with any Wizards fans, they're always talking about, like, his health. And I also thought that was weird. But it was like everyone seemed to know this guy was going to break down before it actually happened. Like something was going on behind the scenes, and that's why I just feel like maybe this is just it for him, and maybe he's not even that motivated. Like, I got my money, like I got like $100 million or whatever it is. Like, the money in the NBA now. I don't blame the guys. Take as much as you can. Millionaires versus billionaires. I don't feel sorry for the owners or anything, but the money now is so crazy. Like, just getting one contract, you don't even need to think about. You're like generationally wealthy immediately. Like, there's not, like, no other sport is kind of like that to that same level. So there's not even that same
Nike
incentive.
almost doubles that once you get in. And if you
can also get a shoe deal, if you're one of those guys, it's completely crazy. Like, Zion is probably generationally wealthy.
Even Doug McDermott got a shoe deal. Come on.
I doubt McDermott's shoe deal was for that much.
Well,
but still, probably more than either of us will make in our lives altogether.
Yeah,
so
I'm sure he bought his parents a house, you know?
Yeah, I'm sure it did. A really nice house.
Yeah. So, yeah, I worry about that. I worry about Wendell Carter coming back healthy. Boy, do we need a guy like him right now. Jeez, it's just like whack-a-mole in there for getting a rebound these days.
Yeah. And the defense is so bad.
Yeah.
Like, interior defense is so bad. I think they really miss Carter. Even just getting Gafford back and getting rid of Felicio, I think will make a huge positive difference. But getting Carter and Gafford both back healthy would be huge.
Don't you find some comedic relief in Felicio out there?
Yes.
You're just like, what's he going to do next? What's he going to mess up next? Right? I mean, everybody listening knows, and Doug, you probably don't know, but I nicknamed him the Brazilian Marshmallow because that's exactly what he plays like, the Marshmallow Man, with his hands waving around and just kind of floating around and doing nothing. He did set a couple vicious screens today, I'll tell you that. But
I watched the Bulls open practice they had for some season ticket holders.
Yeah.
And it was hilarious watching this. I was there with Fred. And, like, everyone looked like an NBA player except for Felicio. There was a point where they're scrimmaging and they're, like, mixing up the teams. And one team was up by, like, it was like 30-2 or something ridiculous. And they just swapped Felicio for, like, Gafford. And then they switched them onto different teams. And then it was, like, a run the other way. And the game ended up being, like, 34 to, like, 36 or something.
Huh.
I thought it was just, like, so hilarious. The team with Felicio was at such an amazing disadvantage. They had, like, no hope. They screwed up, like, everything on every side. And that is exactly translated to real NBA games as well.
Wow, this is the opposite of the Michael Jordan thing. When he came into the league, they used to switch him to the losing team, and then he would come back. He'd play the first half, and then Doug Collins would put him on the other side, and he'd have to fight back and win the game. And he said 9 times out of 10 they did. So now Felicio is the polar opposite, alternate universe version of Michael Jordan. Because, Doug, hear me out here. There is a clip of this, like, homeless guy yelling at Felicio saying, "You think you're Michael Jordan? That guy could be an interdimensional time traveler, and we don't even know it."
Well, I would say clearly any podcast that can throw a Felicio to Michael Jordan comparison out there is well done and a worthy show to listen to.
All right, on that note, we are going to take a break, and Doug and I are going to pick the games for the coming week's post-All-Star game right after this. Hey, everybody, remember, we are a new show, and we do need your support in social media. We made it really simple to find us with some special redirect links. You can find us at Bulls Podcast on Twitter, on YouTube, on Instagram, and go to bullspodcast.com/Facebook to get tied into our Facebook group. And if you'd like to subscribe to the show, we are on Apple Podcasts at bullspodcast.com/Apple, on Stitcher, bullspodcast.com/Stitcher, and on Spotify at bullspodcast.com/Spotify. All right, we're back. We got a couple games to predict. Doug, who you got in this one? Bulls versus Hornets. This is the thing. We got to run the table here. This is the big schedule before the big road trip and all that. So let's kick it off. Bulls versus the Charlotte Hornets. This is Thursday, February 20th at the United Center. What do you got?
I think they're going to sub this one onto TNT, right? So
really? Is that true?
I mean, it's going to be the tankathon game of the century.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Charlotte is actively trying to lose, and I think the Bulls, despite how feeble they are not actively trying to lose. So I think the Hornets somehow pull off the loss in this one, and that the Bulls win by default.
Okay, well, I'm going to go the opposite end of that spectrum, actually. I think they're going to lose. Zach LaVine is going to be miffed. I don't think he's going to win the three-point contest, and he's just going to be disgusted at having to stay in Chicago during this weekend when everybody else is in the Bahamas and doing Instagram photos. So putting him down for an L. And then we've got a game on February 22nd, the Bulls versus the Suns at the United Center. To me, this is a no-brainer. I got a dub.
I mean, I don't think there's any game that the Bulls are in that is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And the Suns currently are a better team than the Bulls. I'm still going to take the Bulls because I'm hoping by the 22nd, and we don't know, but I'm hoping by another 11 days from now
we get one guy.
That we get at least one or two guys back healthy. Okay. Clearly, Gafford should be back, and I'm going to pull the Bulls out because they're at home. I think they can get this win.
Okay, good. And then we get the rubber band match Sunday, the 23rd of February at the United Center. The Bulls versus the Wizards. At least Sato is going to have a good game, and I predict that they're going to have a dub.
I have the same prediction, but now I can't see them actually winning all three in a row. Like individually, I feel like they should win each one of these games, but like
three in a row.
Three in a row just does not seem like that is within our capability to do. So I think I will be wrong in at least one of them. But I think if I switch my pick, I'll just switch the wrong one, and then I'll be wrong 2 out of 3. So I'm gonna still give them the win against the Wizards.
Okay. And then we've got Tuesday the 25th at the United Center versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. Chris Paul, the All-Star, like he deserved it, comes back with the Thunder, and in my opinion, will kick the Bulls' ass. And we're gonna...
I think that is true. The Bulls aren't going to beat a decent team.
Nope, not at all. And then the 29th, Saturday, leap day, the Bulls versus the Knicks. So it's like getting an extra win every 4 years, and we get it this year.
Can we play the Knicks 5 times?
Yeah, I wish.
Would that be the extra win?
It's going to be in New York in Madison Square Garden. I predict a W, but I think this is going to be a borderline Bobby Portis revenge game.
Yeah, it's not hard to see Bobby Portis having some crazy game.
He's got nothing else to live for this year, really.
He really doesn't. So I also think it'll be a win, though. I think the Bulls will get this one. I think that's 5 games. I think actually the Bulls will probably go 3-2.
Yeah,
but it's hard to say. I think they should be favored in 4 of them, but one of those will screw up, which is pretty normal. If you're favored in 4 games, you probably drop one anyway.
Yeah, so we'll still be a ways away from that carrot of the playoffs, unfortunately, by the end of February. But we'll see, and we'll be back on the podcast to talk at least after one of these games. So
it might not be that far away.
Yeah,
you might be able. I mean, if they actually went 4-5 or 4-1, which was my predicted record.
Yeah,
they might not be far away. Even if they went 3-2, that might be enough to gain 2 games.
It depends on how Orlando does and Washington.
Yeah, but, I mean, you don't expect those teams to do much. They haven't recently, so.
I think too, if the Bulls start to surge, Orlando might just pump the brakes a little bit, a couple games, right? Just back it off.
It could easily happen. Who knows? The East is so bad. Like that is really what you're back looking at. And I checked my math.
Mm-hmm.
Orlando is on pace for 34.9 wins. So my 35 estimate, not bad. And 35 games. If you had to get to 35 wins, like it's not insane that the Bulls could do that. It's unlikely, but it's not insane.
Zach could go off on a tear after the All-Star game.
If you get people healthy, and then like you start playing a lot of teams that are trying to lose.
Yeah, I can see the Jim Boylan excuse though right now. All these guys haven't played together since the beginning of the year.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, even though it's excuses, if you lost all the guys you have, like, it does not matter who the coach is.
No.
It just doesn't. Like, no one was going to – if Greg Popovich was coaching the Bulls right now, maybe they'd have, like, 23 wins. Like, it just does not matter. They do not have the talent.
No. I think there'd be a lot more wins than that.
Really?
Yeah.
Greg Popovich with Zach LaVine and a bunch of G Leaguers is going to get you a lot more wins. Like, a lot more.
Yeah.
I mean, just note that the Spurs right now have 22 wins.
Okay.
And I think the Spurs right now have more talent than the Bulls, and they have 22 wins. So I don't see how this Greg Popovich coaching the Bulls with this team is going to have, like, 30 wins. Like, he's not leading a Spurs team of to that type of record this year.
Yeah.
Oh. And that just goes to show, like, to me anyway, I think Popovich is great, and I think he can make guys play a little bit above themselves. But you just need the talent. You just need the talent. Like, and I don't think Jim Boylan is a Hall of Fame coach or anything. But if he had the Bucks roster, he wouldn't be sitting here at 19 wins. We'd probably be discussing if they were like 38-15 or something.
Yeah.
Should we get rid of? Is he a good enough coach? And it would be hard to tell because you'd look at the talent. So it's you just need the players, and the Bulls don't have them. And worse off, you don't even foresee how they could get there from where they are right now. I mean, I think that's the really difficult thing.
Yeah, I don't see them getting past Milwaukee as long as Giannis is playing ever. It's just not going to happen. We could maybe sign Giannis when he's like 37.
Yeah, sign him away for a retirement deal.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think Milwaukee's going to make him the biggest offer of offers. The only other thing I could ever foresee is Anthony Davis coming to Chicago and Giannis going to the Lakers. That would be crazy.
The only thing I could say about Giannis and why he may not stay with the Bucks, one, if they don't win this year, I think he'll be upset. And there's certainly a chance it'll happen.
That's
and then
true.
Two, if he goes to like a major market, like if he goes to the New York Knicks and they can build something around them, he will make so much more in endorsements.
Yeah, that's true.
Difference between the contracts that he can make up the money. So, and then the money is so high now with these contracts. Like Giannis is going to probably make like $300, $400 million in his career from the NBA, and another $200 or $300 million in like endorsements by the time he's done. So,
he's almost a billionaire. Gosh.
Yeah, give or take $100 million. Like in some ways, he wants titles. I'm sure. Like if he sees a better chance to win titles, I just would not be surprised if he leaves. And if I was a Milwaukee Bucks fan, I'd be scared to death that happens. Now, if he wins a title this year in Milwaukee, then I think his odds of staying become much higher. But the Bucks made moves to avoid the luxury tax.
Yeah.
And while trying to compete for a championship, if I'm Giannis and I'm seeing Brogdon over there on the Pacers having just a knockout season, I'd be pretty pissed. Even though you're having a great year right now, like how much stronger would your team be if you kept him? And is Milwaukee really committed to doing everything it takes to get you a title? And you already know the answer is no, because they've already not done that. So, yeah, we'll see. I would not be surprised if Giannis is not on the Bucks in 2 years.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me either. All right, with that, we are going to take one last quick break, and we'll be back to close it all out right after this. All right, people, Doug Thonus, you can find on Twitter at Doug_THONUS. And you can also find him at ChicagoBullseye.com. Are you hiding out anywhere else? Instagram? People
no,
Snapchat
I've got
you?
You can even barely find me on Twitter. Yeah. Like I've tweeted like 5 times. I'm going to try to be more active now that we're doing this show together. I'll try and get on there, but yeah, hopefully.
Good. All right, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Marcus Couch, and everything show related you can find at Bulls Podcast. Make sure you're connected with us everywhere we are, and if you can't remember any of these, make sure you check out our show notes for this show and all the other shows over at bullspodcast.com. And don't forget, Bulls.fm is back. That's where you can find all of the different Bulls podcasts that are out there. As I hit the microphone, all the different Bulls podcasts that are out there from all the different Bulls podcasters. Doug, closing thoughts from you, my man?
I don't know. Just thank you for having me on. It's fun to do this. I've been wanting to do a podcast on my own, but I've been way too lazy. So I'm glad we got connected over Twitter, and look forward to doing it again.
All right. Until next time, thanks for listening, everybody. Go Bulls.
Go Bulls.
Hey, Bulls fans. This is your Bulls championship announcer, Ray Clay, saying so long, everybody. Go Bulls.